Breaking the illusion of reality is easier than you think. It's not that hard to become like the people who just seem to have everything flowing for them, the ones who effortlessly manifest anything they desire. It only feels hard because it requires something most people will never do, which is to walk away from everything you think you know and embracing a totally different frequency of existence. But here's the problem. Societal programming runs so deep that most people don't even think about breaking free. They're too well bribed by the matrix, comfortable enough to stay asleep, and distracted enough to never ask for more. And the ones who do try to escape run into another problem. They get stuck between two extremes. The grind gurus who shame you for not working hard enough, and the spiritual performers who tell you to just meditate your problems away, as if crying your eyes out ever actually did anything to change your life. Neither message feels truly resonant, and if you're anything like me, it left you spiritually homeless as an entrepreneur. But the ones who truly transcend this game study what the elites who shape the world from behind closed doors have always known. This is where books like the Kybalion and the Hermetic teachings become your greatest weapon for understanding the nature of reality. In fact, that's how many of you found me for my breakdown of the Kybalion a few months ago. And in this video, I'm bringing back these principles to give you the simplest and most pragmatic way to master the unseen forces that govern your universe. Because once you understand what I'm about to share, you'll never worry about manifesting ever again, and reality itself will obey you. Now, I'm not going to go over the Kybalion again or break down all 7 principles. You can go back and watch the video I put out a few months ago if you want the full Hermetic deep dive. I was very thorough with it. What I am going to do here, though, is give you a more clear and concise application of these principles so you can finally gain real control over your reality, because that's what you actually want, right? To understand how to leverage this hidden wisdom that isn't taught anywhere in schools or universities, and it never will be. The same knowledge that secret societies hide in plain sight, because if you truly knew it, you would be impossible to control. This information is key to transcending every experience of lack and limitation that plagues your life. Yet it's buried, demonized, and labeled as woo-woo spiritual black magic, so you'd never even think to look into it. And the few people who do talk about it love to make it sound complicated, standing on their pedestal of enlightenment like they're better than you somehow. But as my good friend Leonardo da Vinci once said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So let's simplify it. Reality is a game of frequency, and your duty as a conscious soul is to align with the frequency of reality you actually want to live in. Let me explain. Think of your experience of life like the game Pokemon. Most people think Pokemon is about Pikachu or Squirtle, but hardcore players know that the real game is way more nuanced. If you want to win competitively, you have to EV train your Pokemon. EV stands for effort values. Every Pokemon has certain base stats for their attacks, defenses, HP, and speed. But how you train those stats determine how they perform in real battle. Train too defensively, and you miss crucial knockouts, giving your opponent time to strike back. Train too offensively, and you might pick up quick knockouts, but you leave yourself totally exposed. However, train your Pokemon stats appropriately, and you crush your opponents. Reality is no different, except here in this dimension, EV doesn't stand for effort values, it stands for energetic vibration. Your vibration is the invisible stat sheet determining how you perform when opportunities appear. If your stats aren't aligned and your energy is scattered, you'll miss the synchronistic openings that could have taken you to the next level. So the real question becomes, how do you align your frequency so that when opportunities show up, you can grab life by the balls and claim what's yours? That's the question behind every manifestation. And unfortunately, manifestation has become almost like a curse word. Fake spiritual gurus have abused the term so much so that it's become associated with wishful thinking exercises, affirmations, gratitude journals, and gimmicky techniques that never really move the needle in your life. And then you have the hustle gurus on the other side telling you that if you just work 10x harder and use this one secret strategy, you would be successful. But what they never tell you is that the strategy for success doesn't actually matter. What matters is the frequency of the person applying this strategy that determines whether it works or not. All of these tired and repetitive messages are child's play once the deeper truth clicks. Manifestation isn't about forcing a reality you don't deserve or magically winning a cosmic lottery ticket. It's about aligning so precisely with the version of yourself that already lives your preferred reality to the degree that you don't even need your manifestations to feel high vibrational about yourself. That's the click. When you feel fully confident and trusting that the universe will deliver to you what is already yours, everything changes. Because at that point, you've maximized the stats that actually matter. And to truly master the spiritual game, you must understand the planes of existence and how they correspond with one another. In order to facilitate a breakthrough in your reality, you must first go inward before your outer world begins to reflect your internal alignment. Why? Because reality at its core is divided into 3 planes. These 3 planes aren't separate dimensions, they're the same essence vibrating at different frequencies. We just use mental models like this to better understand how they're interconnected. The 3 planes are the physical plane, the mental plane, and the spiritual plane. The spiritual and mental planes make up your inner world of your beliefs, your emotions, your thoughts, and your mental attitudes. The physical plane is your outer world, which consists of your actions, your habits, and eventually, your results. Your inner and outer worlds come together to crystallize into your frequency, and the vibration you send out determines your entire experience of reality itself. The results you desire, the success, the acknowledgement, the abundance, the love, etc., are simply the synchronistic effects of an aligned cause, the harmony between your spiritual, mental, and physical planes. Now, here's the problem that most people run into, and precisely the reason they never get to that next level. I've seen this more times than I can count, and it's a 2-part problem. Number 1 is that they engage in manifestation practices trying to create abundant effects from a misaligned inner world, confused about why they didn't manifest the job they wanted, the partner they were infatuated with, or the perfect clients ready to buy their product or service now. You've had this happen to you before. You sat down and journaled about your dream job, your dream income, your dream partner, the total freedom. You affirmed it. You really tried. You asked God to deliver your manifestations, and yet nothing showed up quite how you expected it to. And it left you less trusting and disillusioned with the whole game of spirituality. That happened because affirmations in themselves are low frequency. Think about it. If you have to constantly affirm that you're worthy of something, what are you subconsciously communicating to the energetic plane? What you're saying is, I don't have it now. Your entire focus is on the absence of it, and that widens the gap between where you are now and the version of you who already does have it. Why is this the case? This bleeds into part 2 of the problem, in that you're far too focused on the physical world, the effect, instead of your internal alignment, the cause. When you depend on the physical world to show you who you are, you become emotionally reactive when things don't go your way. You interpret setbacks and challenges as evidence that you must not be worthy of your manifestations. Every twist and turn on your path starts to feel like you're doing something egregiously wrong, which causes you to doubt whether or not abundance is even meant for you. You're constantly knocked off balance by reality because you keep falling for the illusion that the physical world is real, when in truth, the physical world is nothing but a mirror, constantly reflecting back who you think and feel you are and the kind of world you believe you live in. Being emotionally triggered when reality isn't responding the way you want it to is like getting frustrated at a mirror that isn't reflecting a happy demeanor. You have to smile first, and only then does the mirror smile back. That really is the key to manifesting your desires. It's all in how you respond, because the truth is, you're manifesting every moment of every day, whether you're conscious of it or not. So if you find yourself manifesting circumstances you don't prefer, you're the one creating them. And only when you shift your focus from the external to the internal and begin aligning with positive emotions and beliefs, even when your physical world feels confusing and uncertain, do you change the mirror itself. To change the effect, you must first change the cause. In the simplest terms, what this means for you is that you can take all the action you want and apply all the trendy habits and hacks you hear online. But if your inner world is tainted with fear, limiting beliefs, and imposter syndrome, you'll sabotage your manifestations because there's a deeper misalignment pushing away what you desire. And the opposite is true as well. You can be the most high vibrational being alive and feel connected to the universe itself. But if you don't engage with the world and express your genius, your manifestations won't come alive. Your most aligned frequency carries with it the feeling of ease and effortlessness. Sure, you might work hard, but working hard doesn't mean burning yourself out and forcing actions through friction. Action itself feels natural, like there's no resistance to you showing up and seeing where your curiosities take you. You don't have to force outcomes when your inner world is grounded and stable, fully trusting that with the right amount of intention and resourcefulness, the universe bends in your favor as you walk your highest path. You don't need to desperately ask God for your prayers to be answered, because you know that you're not separate from God, you are God experiencing itself. And with one clear thought intention, your prayer is already answered. That single frequency ripples out into your field. initiating a chain reaction of synchronistic events that conspire to materialize your highest blessings. And with enough time, patience, and peace, knowing that the universe is doing its thing, what you desire manifests in ways your physical mind can't yet comprehend. When you radiate that frequency, with godlike confidence in all of your creations, failure becomes impossible. Exceptional results and manifestations become the inevitable outcome of your experience. And if you've ever seen any of my client results, this is the frequency breakthrough that I facilitate in them that leads to their incredible success. If you're a conscious entrepreneur and you're ready to eradicate your revenue blocks and 2 to 10x your income, tap the link in the description and book a clarity call to see if you've got what it takes to be a part of the conscious economy and work with me directly. But without knowing anything about you or your circumstances or your business, I can tell you with certainty that if you've been trying to figure out this whole game of reality and still haven't found your breakthrough, it's because remnants of misalignment in your spiritual and mental planes are disrupting how you show up in the world. The game of reality is simple. Frequency first, physical action second. Shifting your internal world into alignment is where the heavy lifting happens, and then you act accordingly. Now, in order to ground this even further into practical reality and to still the sway of your emotional reactivity to so-called negative circumstances, you must master the rhythm of energy that all beings move through on their journey through reality. Energy rises and falls. Frequency expands and contracts. The swing of the pendulum to the left is a swing of the pendulum to the right. Your understanding of this is pivotal, because one of the more clever and nuanced traps I see conscious souls fall for is the illusion that they always need to be high frequency in order to manifest their desires. Write this down, tattoo it on your forehead if you have to. Needing to be in a high frequency is paradoxically low frequency. Let me explain. Trying to reach higher levels of energy can very quickly turn into a trap of its own. Why? Because it's out of alignment with the natural ebbs and flows of your soul's rhythm. You always need to look at the deeper energetic relationship happening beneath the surface. Consider this perspective. It's a sophisticated perfectionist mechanism to always be trying to reach higher states of energy. It's the inability to sit with uncertainty and the messy parts of life and still be confident amidst the chaos. On some level, there's still fear and insecurity controlling your reactions, the same way someone trying to manifest a lottery ticket overnight is in deep financial scarcity, looking for an eject button to escape their pain. But in truth, it's the fear and imposter syndrome itself that interrupts the frequency of abundance, convincing you that if you just raise your vibes, all your problems would disappear overnight. And guess what happens? Because you're trying to be high frequency, the moment reality reflects something you don't prefer, you immediately collapse back into old paradigms that confirm your worst expectations. At the highest levels of spirituality, the game is no longer about reaching higher levels of energy. It's about maintaining grounded and sustainable peace. Because the truth is, emotions naturally rise and fall. And the key to staying in alignment is mastering the rhythm, being in flow with the swing of the pendulum. Recognizing the cyclical nature of reality removes the need to be anything other than who you are right now. It's a state of neutrality that says, I don't care what's happening in the moment, I am always worthy. Because this universe operates in cycles, birth and death, expansion and contraction, fall and winter followed by spring and summer. The moon mirrors the sun. Emotions flow in and out like the tides of the ocean. The key here is neutrality, removing any negative meaning you assign to the dips in your rhythm, and instead assigning positive meanings to every cycle. The only reason you fear dips in momentum or so-called negative swings is because you're not fully confident in yourself. You don't trust that you can handle uncertainty. So the moment things inevitably become uncertain, you panic, thinking you must have done something wrong and need to regain control in order to survive. But paradoxically, the more control you need, the less control you have. Your relationship with reality becomes fragile. Anything that doesn't affirm your highest expectations feels like a threat to your existence. You've been programmed to believe that reality is treacherous, and that any deviation from your plans means you failed and survival is at risk. But remember what I said before. Failure is impossible when your frequency is aligned. And to give you a pragmatic example of how this plays out in real life, let's say you run a business and you've been stuck at a certain income level for what feels like forever. No matter what you do, no matter what strategy you try, the numbers don't move. You know you need to get creative and do things differently if you want your business to stand out and win. But the fear of being seen, or the fear of losing what you currently have, feels too unbearable to face. Here's the truth you're still missing. The frequency that got you to where you are now is not the same frequency that will get you to where you want to go. You're closer to breaking through than you think, but because you fear the swing of the pendulum, you don't see the bigger picture. And that blindness keeps you from riding the wave into higher states of abundance because of your negative relationship with uncertainty. You just need to zoom out. Most people think and feel in windows that are way too small. You need to adopt a wider perspective to see the beauty and synchronicity even in the pullbacks and so-called negative moments. Look at a stock chart of any successful company. There are constant ups and downs. The price per share goes up 10%, then down 3%, up 20%, then down 5%, up 8%, then down 4%, and on and on. But zoom out, and the long-term trend is always upward. You see, the amateur investor only sees the 3% dip and sells off in a panic. That's why most retail traders lose. They're too emotional, too short-sighted, and out of rhythm. An aligned frequency witnesses the larger perspective and flows with it. When you compound this vibration over a longer time horizon, you're up 5,000% from when you initially started because you practice neutrality in real time. But if you never zoom out, if you never witness the bigger picture, you get stuck in lower frequencies, wondering why you can't seem to move beyond trivial lows and become the breakthrough you're chasing. That's how most people treat their reality. They never reach exceptional levels of existence because they're desperately trying to avoid pullbacks, never realizing that the lows are fertile soil for massive rises. Uncertainty is a gift. It teaches you to let go of the need for control and allows the universe to meet you halfway in the manifestation of your desires. Setbacks are divine, God's way of protecting you from circumstances you thought you wanted, but that would have led to greater downfalls. Scarcity is an opportunity to deepen self-mastery, to remind you of what actually matters in life. Release your control over the swing of the pendulum and be still. Because the less you try to force the flow of energy, the more the energy naturally sorts itself out, and you'll intuitively know that you were never doing anything wrong. You simply never gave yourself permission to be fully you. That is mastery of reality embodied. The realization that you never needed anyone's permission but your own to feel high vibrational about yourself and your universe. Surrender the need for control. Surrender allows you to ride the wave into higher frequencies of peace, joy, and gratitude, because you no longer react to thoughts of fear and lack as evidence of who you are. They're just noise and hold no power. These are the truths that elite societies teach their young, so that by the time they reach adulthood, they already understand how reality works and can maximize their unfair opportunities to compound their success. And that's why it's never taught in schools. It's kept shrouded in mystery, because if the masses embodied this level of consciousness, the system would collapse overnight and their control would be neutralized. They want you misaligned. They want you reactive to the pendulum swings, because if they can disrupt the clarity of your inner world, they easily control your outer world and keep you dependent on them for survival. But fear no more. We are entering the age of the conscious economy, where people are awakening to the truth of their sovereignty. It's not that difficult to break the illusion once you begin to truly see through it. You would be astounded at the level of freedom you can access with just a few internal shifts in the right direction, coupled with the time and patience to let reality unfold naturally for you. You are consciousness embodied. Every aspect of your journey is divine, guiding you toward the realization of your highest manifestations. None of this is truly a secret, because deep down, you already know it. I'm just here to help you remember. Instead of begging God for your prayers to be answered, ask for the clarity and wisdom to make reality obey your command.